There is one truth most men never learn, and it is the reason so many feel invisible, replaceable, or forgotten overnight. A woman does not remember the man who tries the hardest. She remembers the man who changes how she feels inside. Not the man who talks endlessly, trying to keep her attention alive. Not the man who flashes his achievements like a badge. Not the man who bends himself into shapes just to be liked. But the man whose presence shifts something in her. The man who walks into the room and suddenly the atmosphere feels different. The man whose calm energy slows her mind for a second. The man whose silence carries more weight than another man's whole performance. Most men chase her eyes. Few men reach her emotions, and only a rare man touches her inner world in a way she can't explain, a way that stays long after he leaves. It has nothing to do with perfection, nothing to do with being loud, charming, or dramatic. It has everything to do with the feeling she gets when she's around you. A feeling of calm, a feeling of curiosity, a feeling of there's something different about him. This is the man she remembers. This is the man she thinks about alone. This is the man who leaves a mark she can't erase. And today, you're going to learn exactly how to become that man. Not by pretending, not by performing, but by understanding the simple inner shift that separates forgettable men from unforgettable ones. What most men get wrong. Most men walk into a woman's life believing she will remember them for the obvious things. A handsome facier, clever tonguier, heavy wallet romantic gestures, constant attention. But these things fade faster than they imagine. Looks lose their shine. Words lose their meaning. Money loses its power. And attention becomes background noise. A woman forgets the man who gives her everything too fast. But she never forgets the man who gives her a feeling she can't name. Not comfort, not excitement, not desire alone. A feeling that touches something deeper, something she doesn't feel with other men. Trying too hard does not make you stand out. It makes you blend in with every other man who is desperate to be chosen. Effort, when it comes from fear, does not impress her. It exposes you, because effort born from insecurity always says the same thing. Please like me. Please choose me. Please see me as enough. And nothing kills attraction faster than a man who gives away his power in the first 5 minutes. This is where most men destroy their own presence. They ruin their impact by talking non-stop, to fill silence, responding instantly like their world revolves around her, adjusting their behavior to win, approval chasing any sign of interest, explaining, defending, and justifying themselves. All of this creates a kind of emotional static, a loud, restless energy that pushes her away instead of pulling her in. It creates noise, not presence, and noise never stays in her mind. Noise is forgettable. Noise is common. Noise feels like every other man she has ever met. Presence is rare. Presence is quiet. Presence is felt before it is understood. And that is why most men are remembered for a week, while a small few are remembered for years. The secret of the unforgettable man. An unforgettable man is almost never the man people expect. He's not the loudest voice in the room. He's not the one cracking jokes every minute. He's not the man showing off like he's on a stage. In fact, he often blends into the background until she looks closer. What makes him unforgettable is not noise, but the absence of it. He carries a calm energy, the kind that makes people breathe slower around him. Controlled energy, the kind that makes her feel he knows who he is. Unrushed energy, the kind that says he isn't chasing anything, not even her. A woman remembers this man because he stands out without trying. She remembers the man who speaks less, but every word has weight, looks at her with quiet confidence, not hunger, listens like he has nowhere else to be, moves with ease, not urgency, shows interest without acting scared of losing. Her carries himself like he fits anywhere he walks. This man does not need to perform. He does not need to prove anything. His presence does the talking for him. Most men create noise. This man creates tension, the kind that pulls her closer. Most men try to be mysterious by acting strange. This man creates real mystery by being comfortable in his own silence. Most men look needy because they chase reactions. This man creates presence because he is steady in his own energy. The human mind remembers contrast, and this man is a contrast to the whole world. He is calm in a world full of chaos. He is certainty in a world drowning in insecurity. He is depth in a world obsessed with surface-level attention. He is internal strength in a world addicted to external validation. This difference is what lodges him into her memory, not because he forced himself into her life, but because she felt something rare when she was around him. And anything rare becomes unforgettable. This is how you carve yourself into a woman's mind, not by being more, but by being different. The power of controlled mystery. A woman is not drawn to a man she can read like an open book. If she figures you out in the first 5 minutes, there is nothing left for her mind to explore. Attraction lives in curiosity. Curiosity lives in mystery. And mystery lives in what you don't reveal right away. She is drawn to a man who reveals himself slowly, as if each part of him has its own time controls. What he shows, instead of spilling everything out of nervous excitement, opens up in layers, giving her something new to discover each time, keeps a piece of himself unseen, not because he is hiding, but because some parts are earned, not handed out for free. This kind of mystery is not a trick. It's not manipulation. It's not emotional games. It is depth. It is self-respect. It is knowing that your inner world is valuable, and not everyone gets full access on day one. Too many men speak out of fear. They rush to share their entire past, their dreams, their trauma, their secrets, all in one night. Not because they want connection, but because they're terrified of losing her interest. They reveal everything too fast, because they hope she'll stay. But the unforgettable man moves differently. He reveals one meaningful thought, one personal truth, one deep, moment-tone story that shows who he is, a glimpse into his mind. And then he stops. He doesn't overshare. He doesn't dump his whole identity at her feet. He doesn't beg for emotional closeness. He gives just enough for her to feel something, and then he pulls back just a little. Not out of fear, not out of coldness, but out of awareness. He understands something most men don't. A woman bonds with the parts of a man she has to discover, not the parts he force-feeds to win her approval. That little gap, that small space he leaves untouched, is where her mind begins to wander. It is the place where she replays his words, she analyzes his tone, she remembers his eye, wonders what else is inside him. She feels the slow burn of curiosity. That small gap is where attraction grows. That small gap is where imagination starts working. That small gap is where he stays on her mind long after he leaves. Mystery is not about being distant. Mystery is about being layered. And the man with layers is the man she cannot forget. Emotional rhythm, the mark she never forgets. A woman does not remember the perfect words you said, or the smooth tricks you tried. She remembers how it felt to be around you, not the performance, not the show, not the effort. She remembers the experience. She remembers how your silence made her feel, whether it made her relax or made her curious show. Your eye contact lingered, steady, slow, without fear or rush. How your calm energy settled her, like she could breathe deeper. Next to you, how your voice slowed her thoughts, not by being deep or flashy, but by being controlled. How your presence made her feel safe, not protected, but grounded. How your absence made her think, because she felt a subtle void when you weren't there. These tiny moments are what leave marks. These moments carve themselves into her mind. because they are tied to her emotions, not her logic. Here is the real secret most men never learn. When your inner world is stronger than her mood, she feels your presence even when you're silent, even when you're not around. This is the mark she cannot erase, because most men match a woman's energy. They react, they chase, they lose themselves in her emotional waves. But the unforgettable man does not bend to every shift in her mood. He stays centered, he stays grounded, he stays himself. When she feels your inner stability, your energy becomes a kind of emotional gravity. It pulls her in without force. It holds her attention without effort. It creates desire without chasing. It is not intense passion that stays. Passion burns bright and dies fast. It is stable gravity, the steady pull of a man who knows who he is. It is not loud confidence that marks her mind. Anyone can pretend to be bold. It is quiet certainty, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything. It is not chasing that makes her want you. Chasing makes you predictable. It is choosing with clarity, showing interest without losing your center, showing desire without begging for it, showing attention without abandoning yourself. This rhythm, your emotional rhythm, is what she remembers. Not what you said, not what you did, but how your presence made her feel a different kind of peace, a different kind of tension, a different kind of curiosity. This is the rhythm that echoes in her mind long after you leave. This is the rhythm that makes you unforgettable. The energy that stays in her mind. If you want to know what truly stays in a woman's memory, what actually sticks long after the conversation ends, it isn't your jokes, your compliments, or your looks. It's your energy. There are 3 traits that carve themselves into her emotional memory and continue to echo even after you're out of sight. Calm. Your calm is not just a mood, it's a message. It tells her, I don't panic, I don't hurry, I don't lose myself just because you're here. Most men crumble under pressure. Their voice speeds up, their body tenses. They try to fill every silence because they're afraid to look boring. They act like they're auditioning for a role in her life. But you act like a man who already knows his value. You don't chase the moment, you let the moment come to you. You slow the energy instead of rushing it. Your calm becomes a force she feels in her body, not just something she sees with her eyes. And that calm, that grounded masculine energy, is rare enough to remember. Intention. Intention means clarity. It means you choose. It means your actions and your words line up. You don't pull her close one moment and disappear the next. You don't act interested and then hide behind fear. You show interest without pressure. You take your time without hesitation. You lead without dominating. A woman can tell instantly when a man is acting out of hunger and loneliness, and when he's acting out of choice. Intention makes you stand out because it shows her something she hardly sees anymore. A man who knows what he wants and isn't scared to show it. Not a man begging for attention. Not a man throwing signals everywhere. But a man who moves with purpose. Purpose is memorable. Emotional control. This is the trait that truly separates men. Emotional control does not mean you feel nothing. It means you don't let emotions run your life. Not coldness. Not arrogance. Not indifference. Just self-command. You can feel desire without acting desperate. You can feel attraction without losing your center. You can feel excitement without becoming chaotic. You can show emotion without drowning in it. When she tests your patience, you stay balanced. When she tries to trigger a reaction, you don't explode. When she pulls back a little, you don't melt into fear. A man who is emotionally centered is a man who is mentally strong, and mental strength is deeply attractive. This is the kind of energy she remembers because it makes her feel safe, curious, and challenged, all at the same time. This kind of energy creates presence, And presence creates memory. Long after she leaves your presence, she will still feel the echo of your calm, your intention, and your emotional control. That echo is what makes you unforgettable, the moments that define you. Most men believe they leave a mark through the big things, grand gestures fancy, dinners dramatic, surprises long, emotional talks, but those rarely last. Big moments impress her mind for a second. Small moments imprint her heart for years. The truth is, a woman's memory is shaped by tiny emotional snapshots, the little pieces of energy she feels when she's around you. It's the details she never talks about, but never forgets. She remembers the quiet pause before you answer. That pause tells her you're not reacting. You're thinking. You're calm. You're in control of yourself. A pause can communicate more confidence than a whole speech. The way you look at her when she's not expecting it, not a stare, no hunger, just a slow, steady look that says, I see you, I'm here, and I'm grounded. This kind of eye contact creates a spark in her nervous system. The calm tone you use when she tests you, women test men not to hurt them, but to understand them. And when you respond with calm instead of irritation, you show strength. You show emotional maturity. You show that her waves cannot shake your foundation. The way you do not react to pressure, most men panic when they feel pressure. They rush, explain, defend, chase. But you stay centered. Your lack of reaction is the reaction. It shows her that you trust yourself and that you don't bend to stress or insecurity. The respect you have for yourself, not ego, not arrogance, real self-respect. The way you set boundaries without anger, the way you say no without fear, the way you choose yourself, even when you like her. Women never forget a man who respects himself. The way your silence carries intention, your silence can tell her things your words can't. It can say, I'm not rushing. I'm not trying to impress. I'm comfortable being myself. I'm not afraid of losing you. Your silence becomes a presence becomes a memory becomes a mark. These small, subtle moments write themselves into her emotional memory because they make her feel something rare, a man who is steady, grounded, intentional, and hard to shake. This is how a man becomes unforgettable, not through performance, but through presence, not through grand actions, but through the quiet details that reveal who he truly is. Who you become from this point. The mark you leave on a woman does not begin with what you say to her, what you do for her, or how much attention you give her. It starts long before she ever enters your life. It starts with you. It starts with the man you build in private, the man she cannot shake from her mind, because his foundation is unlike the rest. Your discipline, the way you show up for yourself, even when no one is watching, the way you stick to your standards, even when your emotions try to pull you off track. Discipline is the root of masculine presence, and she feels it in your posture, your tone, your decisions. Silence, not the silence of fear, or the silence of having nothing to say, but the silence of a man who is not controlled by noise. A silence that makes her lean in, a silence that carries meaning, a silence that says, I am comfortable with myself. Energy, the steady, grounded energy you walk with. You don't need to dominate a room with volume. Your energy speaks for you. Your calm becomes contagious. Your presence becomes a space she feels safe in. Self-respect, the way you refuse to shrink yourself for anyone, the way you hold your standards with quiet strength, the way you walk away from anything that insults your soul. A man who respects himself teaches others how to treat him without saying a word. Seriousness mixed with lightness, a blend very few men carry. You're serious enough to have purpose, but light enough to be enjoyable, strong enough to lead, but relaxed enough to let things flow, focused, but not rigid. This balance creates attraction because it shows depth without heaviness, boundaries without anger. A man who can say no calmly is a man who cannot be manipulated. You don't yell, you don't argue, you simply stand firm. Boundaries delivered with calm certainty are a language of their own. Desire without need. You want her, but you do not need her to feel valuable. You can admire her beauty without losing your balance. You can show interest without surrendering your entire identity. Desire makes you human. Neediness makes you forgettable. These qualities do something powerful. They shape you into a man she can't fully decode, can't fully understand, can't fully figure out. And the mind never forgets what it cannot fully solve. You become the spark she doesn't understand, the calm she didn't expect, the man who feels like a puzzle, with one missing piece she keeps trying to find. A woman never forgets a man who knows who he is, because men like that are rare, and everything rare becomes unforgettable. The final truth. In the end, the men who leave the deepest mark on a woman are not the flawless ones. They are not the richest, the loudest, or the most impressive. The men she remembers years later, the men whose energy still echoes in her chest, are the ones who carry a rare combination of qualities. They are steady. They don't crumble under pressure. They don't become someone else just to be liked. Their actions match their character, not their fears. Calm, they don't rush. They don't compete. They don't react to every emotion thrown at them. Their stillness becomes magnetic. Intentional, everything they do has purpose. They speak with direction. They move with clarity. They do not send mixed signals or play childish games. Mysterious, not because they hide, but because they have depth, because there is always something more beneath the surface, because they reveal themselves in layers, not all at once. Emotionally centered, their emotions don't control them. Their desires don't weaken them. Their silence doesn't scare them. Their strength comes from within, not from performance. Together, these qualities create a presence that speaks louder than words ever could. A presence that says, I choose. I do not chase. I offer myself, but I never abandon myself. This kind of man doesn't beg for a place in her life. He doesn't fight for validation. He doesn't twist himself trying to be liked. He stands firm. He stands grounded. He stands in his truth. And because of that, a woman feels something around him that she doesn't feel with anyone else. She feels a shift in the air. She feels a pull she can't explain. She feels the gravity of a man who knows who he is. When a man carries this kind of presence, a presence built from inner strength rather than outer effort, he doesn't just walk into a woman's life. He enters her mind. He settles into her memory. He becomes a reference point she compares others to. He becomes a quiet mark on her emotional world, a mark she may try to forget, but never truly can. And that is the deepest impact a man can leave.